16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does.
16-bit sports action.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't, what PlayStation don't, especially the PlayStation Classic. News, notes, debate about the Genesis Mini or the Mega Drive for those in Europe and Japan coming up now.
And so it was, he brought forth Genesis, a system with twice the power, twice the intelligence, twice the challenge.
42 games handled by M2. They're actually doing it right this time, September 19, 2019.
Forth to experience this new dimension of high-definition graphics and stereo sound. And the makers saw what he had done and said, now that's not bad. Discover Genesis, and your world will never be the same.
Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't. So what's blast processing do?
Nintendo had 90% of the market share at one point in time. Sega clawed their way back to over 50% of American households. That's incredible. The Sega Genesis was a classic system, and Sega and M2 have hit it out of the park. A home run, a slam dunk here. I'm picking this up in September. Are you? Let me know in the comment section below. Are you happy with the game list? Is there anything you would like to see in the MAD? Let me know.
Hey! Want to see more?
Welcome to Next Level. Next Level Taken here. The year is 1988 in Japan, 1989 in North America, and 1990 in Europe and Brazil. The Sega Genesis would wreak havoc and destruction of biblical proportions on Nintendo. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. But the Sega Genesis would enter the 16-bit fray first, would leapfrog the Super Nintendo and TurboGrafx systems. The iconic Genesis console is going to return in September, this September, with 2 classic 3-button control pads, 6 if you're in Japan. I don't know why we're getting the 3-button one, especially given the fact that we're getting a Street Fighter game bundled with it. You're going to have to press the start button to switch between the punch and kick buttons, which kind of sucks, but it's also going to come with a USB power adapter, power cable, and HDMI cable. You're going to get those controllers, they're going to be wired. This is a Genesis Mini console, ready to plug and play right out of the box. At the same price as the SNES Classic, $80. It's going to be preloaded with 40 plus legendary Genesis games. The list differs a little bit if you're in Japan. The Mega Drive list is slightly off, but most of the same games are shared, and there's lots of hit games here, and the final 12 have finally been announced, and I mean there's some heavy hitters here. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 right off the bat's included. It's a shame that Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles are not included, but it's music licensing having to do with Michael Jackson's estate, and I can see why they didn't include it. It kind of sucks for fans, but really the only complaint I have here is why Virtua Fighter 2 was included here, because it's just a terrible, terrible port. I mean, Virtua Fighter 2 is a fantastic game if you're playing it in Saturn or arcade, but what's included here in the Genesis, I mean, it's a miracle, I guess, that they got it working on the Genesis, but it's just terrible. It's piss poor. Alright, the games that are included here, I mean, this is a bombshell. Tetris. Tetris was supposed to come out of the Genesis, and there was licensing issues, and Nintendo snagged the license, and so all the copies of Tetris on Genesis had to be destroyed, or you would have thought there's a few of them floating around in the wild, but Tetris is going to be on this console. I mean, that is huge, and they've doubled the amount of SNES games. The SNES Classic had 21 games, this has 42. Right off the bat. And the full list, as I promised, I will put it in the YouTube header, and I'll go over some of the games right now, the heavy hitters. You're going to get Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. You're going to get Altered Beast. Now, you're not going to get all of the sequels here, like you're going to get the first Golden Axe, but you won't get Golden Axe 2 or 3. And you will not get Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles, like I said. You won't get Streets of Rage 3. You'll get Streets of Rage 2 instead. So you're getting Sonic. You're getting Ecco the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines. They do have some licensed games here from Konami, which is great. It's unfortunate that Hyperstone Heist is not here, or Aladdin, but you have some Disney games here. You're getting Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. You're getting Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, fantastic RPG, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which seems to be ported to every Sega collection since the dawn of time, but it's a fantastic puzzle game. It's Puyo Puyo, basically. ToeJam Earl, the first one. They just did a new ToeJam Earl game. Comix Zone, which is an underrated gem. Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes, which is one of the best shooting games of all time. I'm sure it inspired the people who did Cuphead. Earthworm Jim, which is another licensed game. I mean, they did really well putting that in. Again, Sonic 2, as I mentioned earlier. Contra Hardcore is another third-party game. This one's from Konami. Fantastic edition. Thunder Force 3, a fantastic shooting game. Or shmup. Super Fantasy Zone. Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master, one of the best Shinobi games ever made. Really, you couldn't have done a bad job putting any Shinobi game in here. You're getting Streets of Rage 2. I would have liked to see Streets of Rage 1 and 3, but Streets of Rage 2 is fantastic. 2-player co-op. You're getting Landstalker. Another bombshell. You're getting Mega Man: The Wily Wars from Capcom. This was previously a exclusive on the Sega channel, and now you're going to have Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 with improved graphics. I've got some footage here of Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is not the same, but you're going to get that game, the third, which is arguably the best Mega Man in the series. And you're also going to get Mega Man 1 and 2. And when you beat all three of those, it's going to unlock new challenges, new bosses, which is fantastic. A Wily Tower mode. And I'm looking forward to playing that one. Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition, which again, 6 buttons is necessary. Kind of sucks that it's not here, but you will be able to buy Retrobit controllers, 6-button controllers. So at least you have the option there. Sucks that you got to pay extra for it, but speaking of paying extra, if you want to, if you so desire, they're selling a tower, at least in Japan they are, where it adds a little Sega CD replica. It's non-functional. It's just purely for aesthetics. It's got a Sega little CD replica, a 32X replica, and a Sonic cartridge, which is kind of cool. You're also going to get Ghouls and Ghosts, another Capcom game. Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. Beyond Oasis, which is amazing. Epic game. Golden Axe, as I mentioned earlier. Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium. This was a $100 cartridge at one point, people. I'm glad to see it included. You're going to get Sonic Spinball, which is another one that they just seem to port to everything. Vectorman, another one that's on every single Sega compilation since the dawn of time. Wonder Boy and Monster World. Tetris, as I mentioned earlier. Darius, which is another shooter. Virtua Fighter 2, as I mentioned earlier. You're getting Monster World 4, which I have footage of here. This is the 360 version running on the Xbox One. You're getting Kid Chameleon. You're getting Road Rash 2. It sucks that Road Rash 1 and 3 is not there, or maybe the Jungle Strike and Desert Strike series, but you can't go wrong. Road Rash 2 is a fan favorite. Eternal Champions, which is an alright, it's a decent fighting game. You're getting Columns, which is fantastic alternative to Tetris. Puzzle fans, you're going to be covered here. Dynamite Heady. Strider, another Capcom game, and arguably one of the best ports of that game. And Light Crusader. Now, Tetris is a coup for Sega to get Tetris, which is, my mind is blown. Tetris was fully developed by Sega back in the day, and they had an actual production run, but they had to halt the release. So this is just amazing that this is even on here. And you're getting 42 games, not 40. So it's over 40 that they mentioned. 42 is the final number. Launches September the 19th for $79.99. Same price as the SNES Classic with double the games. And the games are actually games that most people want to play or haven't played. I mean, these are some excellent choices. Yes, it would have been great to have the complete Phantasy Star Collection or all the Sonic titles. That would have probably put this over the top for some. And yes, it sucks about the 3-button controllers, and it sucks that they're wired. Hopefully they've learned from past consoles needing to be extra long wires. Developed by M2, I expect this to be nothing short of amazing quality work. The only issue I have is that some people might be scared off by previous Genesis re-releases and think, oh, it's going to be the same piece of crap, the same shoddy piece of hardware, but it's not. And if you don't know about M2, you can check out a documentary of M2 from My Life in Gaming. Check it out on their YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's been Next Level Taken. Until next time.